All right, here we go. So my name's Steven, and I'm on with Catherine here. I just wanted to create a resource for our collective communities. I know that now is a very, very stressful time for all of us, and it's so easy for us to fall into bad habits, fall into old routines, or create some bad habits. And I think that nutrition and healthy movement are two pillars of health, and right now, those are needed in order to boost immune system more than ever. And so I reached out to Catherine and asked her to have a discussion with me to create this resource for our collective communities. And so here we go. This is what that is. I'm Steven. I'm from Crux. Crux is a hybrid clinic. We help people to move a little bit better, to hopefully then feel better and live a better life ultimately. And I'll let Catherine introduce herself, but I want to just mention at first that anyone that I have worked with collectively with her in terms of from a nutrition standpoint or from a fitness standpoint has just the most wonderful things to say about her. I think you'll see here in our discussion, she's passionate, she lives, breathes everything nutrition and fitness, and that will be clear here in just a moment. So Catherine, can you tell me a little bit, Catherine, Coach C, what do you prefer?
You know what? I think most people call me Coach C, Coach Catherine, Coach.
All right.
My mom would say, call me anything you want, but late for dinner. So Coach is good. Catherine is good.
This is perfect. Perfect. So tell me a little bit about yourself personally and professionally.
Yeah. So personally, I have a little bit of a change of focus. I just turned 50 in December. My husband just turned 60 a couple weeks ago. So our focus in our life, thank you. Our focus in our life is changing a little bit, more on staying healthy, being mobile, staying fit, staying high quality of life. So whereas before it may have been to achieve a certain look, to, tighten my booty or flatten my stomach, it's more now being mobile, being able to be strong to have a higher quality of life as we move forward. And I, fortunately, being an IFBB figure pro, I actually still compete in the world of bodybuilding. So for me, at my age, I get to transition to the master's program so I can compete against women my own age. And that, as a coach and as a woman, is a nice focus that it gives me something to work toward and use as a goal.
Great. Really, really cool. And so you do that for yourself, and then tell me a little bit about your business, your background, and when this all started.
Yeah, so in 2007, I was a sales rep, and I worked for a printing company who sold product on the East Coast. So I was gone to Boston and New York City, usually 3 weeks out of every 4. And then my company got purchased, and I was released. All the sales reps were released. So I thought, what do I really want to do? What is a passion of mine? Did a little research and realized that our community was missing some really effective fitness training with a female focus. So doing a little bit more training, I decided that the fitness boot camps, which were pretty new at that time, we're talking mid-2007, were going to be the wave of the future. And coming from a personal training and an aerobic instructor background, it was a good fit. So in 2007, I got certified in the Adventure Boot Camp model, which is based out of Orange County, California. You bring it back as a certified coach, and then you run your own business in your city. So in 2008, we started our own fitness boot camp, and that was the first fitness boot camp in the state of Wisconsin. So I run Milwaukee Adventure Boot Camp. Yeah, super cool. And then we transitioned in 2010 to small group training, which is a little bit more co-ed and lifting oriented protocol. And then a year after that, we added nutrition counseling. So kind of a wide range, 360 view of fitness, a lot of different fitness protocols, one in particular, and a very varied look at nutrition, each person individually with a customized type of program.
Right. That's really, really neat. So it just kind of has grown over time.
Yeah, you got it.
And for you right now, in terms of your timing, it's kind of split between these different things. You're doing boot camp, you're doing personal training, you're doing some nutrition, and is that something that you find, it sounds like it provides the full package for people.
Yeah, it does. It's funny because fitness still, especially people selling fitness, still sell it as the end all be all. If you do this kind of workout, you will get your results. You'll get to the end where you want to be, gain muscle, lose fat, have this perfect body. And the problem is that's not really the case. You could lose weight by just walking. Now, you're not going to change your shape, but you have to add the nutrition component. When people talk about what has the most impact on what your goals are, it's always nutrition. And people don't like to hear this. Right. 85% nutrition is going to be the most impactful versus 15% of your fitness. So 85-15, 85-15, it's pretty much a no-brainer. But the problem is people still want to do what they want to do, eat what they want to eat, and then do an hour a day, a couple days a week, and get that certain look. It doesn't happen that way.
Right. Yeah, it's actually funny. There's a online comic, The Oatmeal, and they talk a little bit about like all the different reasons to run. This is from probably 10 years ago now.
Sure.
But all the different reasons to run, and really kind of the reason that they run is just so that they can eat all this terrible stuff. And unfortunately, I mean, that's a great thing, I think. But unfortunately, if you're starting somewhere and you want to get to a different place, then you have to also make that big nutritional change as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I always liken it to a math equation. A plus B equals C. If you don't have enough of A or you don't have enough of B, you're not going to get C. And people like to focus on the A. If A is all the workout, that they can out-train their poor nutrition, it doesn't work. I always give the example to my group, which is mostly right now, the morning sessions are 35 to 55 plus year old women. Mm-hmm. I say there's one group right now, statistically, that can out-train poor nutrition. And none of you are in that group. They are the 18 to 22 year old collegiate male athletes.
Darn it, they can eat whatever they want.
Right. And they can still work it off.
Right, exactly. All right, well, why don't we dive into nutrition a little bit. Tell me a little bit about the basics of how you think about it. Give me a mini nutrition lesson. How do you set up your nutrition plans, and what is the basis for you?
Yeah, so the old me, when I was in my late 20s, I thought I was the savior of all. My family never wanted to eat with me because I would say, oh my gosh, Dad, do you know how many calories are in that big, huge hamburger? So I have since changed my methods, and it's all about accountability and kind of working with your nuances and what your nutritional nuances are versus working against them. One thing I like to tell people is there's no perfect one nutritional plan that's going to be a one size fits all. It's really, I step back. I usually have people fill out a lifestyle nutrition questionnaire, and then we review that with a 3-day food recall log. So I get a really good picture of how someone eats and what their processes and habits and nuances are. And then from there, I just work back. We talk about, well, this is your goal. This is what you said your goals are. This is working towards your goals. This is working against your goals. The more things you can do that work towards your goals are going to get you there faster. The more things you do that work against your goals will take you longer to get there. So it really depends on how all in somebody is to making that change. It's hard for a lot of people because they use their kids as a reason why they can't do something nutritionally, or they use work as a reason, or they use travel as a reason, or they use their husbands or their wives as a reason. So now that we're home, it's a great opportunity to get rid of one of the biggest reasons, work. They're working at home, but they have a lot more time to prepare food.
Time is a huge one. You're right, in terms of preparation. And I know that when I speak with patients about it all the time, I'm like, all right, you got to find a time, like choose a time on Sunday when you can do all these meal prep. And to be honest, right now, you're right. We're spending a lot more time at home. So I'm going to kind of grind into this just a little bit more, because I actually don't know. Do you, I imagine with a background in bodybuilding, more than anyone else, if bodybuilders are regimented and able to stick to a plan, and so impressive in terms of that. But what about for us normal folks?
Yeah.
What should we be looking at? Should we be looking at calories in, calories out? Should we be looking
Yeah.
at the types of foods? Should we be looking at our macros, and what does macros mean? Should
Yeah.
we be, tell me what you think about and how you recommend to clients.
Yeah. So I usually start with the just making better choices. So if I find that I'm working with a client who eats a lot of processed foods, a lot of foods from a bag or a box or something like that,
This
we
is the
talk
center
about
of the grocery store type stuff, right?
chips and pretzels and cookies and crackers and, a lot of maybe frozen meals that have a lot of sodium in them. We talk about what things they like, and then we try to add those things that they like that maybe they haven't been eating into their meal plan. So I start with the easiest. I start with, what's the easiest change? Is it breakfast? Is it a snack? Is it lunches? What's the easiest for you to control? And so when they take baby steps in making those small changes to eating healthier, and this is just in general, eating healthier, they find that it's not as hard as they thought. They just didn't make it part of their routine. So now that they're changing their routine and creating a new habit, they realize, oh, well, that's not that hard. If I can do it for lunch, I can do it for dinner. And so they make another baby step. Yeah. So for just general eating healthier, that's what I try to do. Where are you? What do you like? And how can we work those more healthier, optimal foods into your meal plan? That has worked for probably 95 to 90% of my clientele. And then from there, we just keep adding on. Okay, now we've gotten that down pat. Now let's work on our snacks. What do you like? What's optimal? Well, what do you like we can fit in here, that's quick, that's easy to prepare, that you can have at your house in bulk, that other people will eat, that your husband will eat, or your wife will eat, or your children will eat. So once we kind of get that game plan, and that's what the key is, it's a plan, they find it's much easier to stick to. When you tell someone, come on, just eat healthier, people know what that means in general, but they don't know what it means specifically and what it means to them.
Right. And how to actually implement.
Sure.
I like this idea of little bits at a time. Not that I'm saying that everyone should do this or not that anyone should do this, but my wife and I started eating vegetarian at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to know why. And for us, it's an environmental thing, but whatever, it doesn't matter why. We started eating vegetarian. And I think it was so funny because we noticed with everyone, the idea of like meatless Mondays. And that's an exact example of, I couldn't imagine before a meal without meat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. Right. And so to the same extent as you're talking about with like eating healthy, like I can't imagine a meal that I didn't get out of a bag or I didn't, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You start with one little thing. So for me, it was like, could I possibly eat breakfast without bacon?
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And then the next thing was like, oh wow, I just had breakfast and it was all vegetarian. Like
Sure.
I went to a restaurant and did not order the omelet with bacon and sausage in it.
Right. Exactly.
And so these little baby steps kind of like open up your eyes to a possibility.
Yeah.
And from there you say, wow, I think I can do it. And so I can start to eat a little bit more healthfully. I can move that into this. And then, I love your idea that you're talking about with a plan, like putting together a plan and being able to stick to it. Now, I have to ask though, and this was something I was going to get to a little bit later, but I'm one of those people that find myself to be in the past, and I've had to do a little bit of like soul searching about this. In the past, I've found myself to be kind of like black and white, on the wagon, off the wagon.
Sure.
No gray zone. And so that when I go off the wagon, the cart just goes and it gets bad. What do you say for people who tend to have those tendencies?
So you would be the all or none guy. So you're all in or you're not in at all. And I use the example of the slashing of the tax. So say you just started eating healthy and you do so well for a week, and then you go out and it's a Friday night and everybody's drinking and they're having hamburgers and French fries and you're like, I want some of that. I've been doing so well. So you just go and you unleash. And then the next day you think, well, it's Saturday. You know what? I ate crappy on Friday night. I'm just going to go ahead and eat crappy today and tomorrow. And then you know what? I'll start back healthy on Monday. So instead
Sounds all too familiar.
Yep. Instead of being 1,000 or 1,500 calories over on Friday, you are now 1,000 or 1,015, 4,000 on Saturday, 4,000 on Sunday. Now you've gained 2 pounds that you lost the week before. So I usually give this example. And this is a good example from Jillian Michaels from The Biggest Loser from many years ago. And people can really relate to this. If you were in a car and you're driving down the highway and you get a flat tire, you get out, you don't and say, well, I have one flat tire, I'm just going to slash all the other ones. Like people get it. Like, people get it when you say it like that. But when you talk about food, it's the same example. Well, I did crappy on Friday. I guess I'll just do crappy on Saturday and Sunday and wait till Monday. That doesn't make sense. But people, they think, yeah, that makes sense. I'll just start back on Monday. So my suggestion is this. It's not about perfection. You can't be perfect in anything. Why pretend to be perfect with your food? Why not be who you are? So if you, as Stephen, can do really well and you like to stay with doing really well, and in your mind you think you did something bad because on Friday night you had some drinks and some hamburger, then you berate yourself, you feel bad about yourself, instead of saying, you know what? It's normal. I worked for this. It's a little bit off schedule. That's totally fine. My very next meal, it's going to be right back on schedule. That is real life. And that's how you progress. I have a client. This is a perfect example. It's very hard for her to work in treats. And this is treats. I don't call it cheats. That's too negative. So I use treats. So if her normal eating is healthy in general, 5% of the time, work in a pizza Friday. Work in a hamburger Saturday. Work in a pancake Sunday. But don't plan that you're going to have it. Get the family involved. They get excited. It's a fun social thing. Remember we talked about how food is social?
Yeah.
So they can't say, oh, mommy can't eat that or mommy can't eat this. They say, oh, yay, it's pancake Sunday, or oh, yay, it's pizza Friday. But if you turn it into, pasta Monday and chocolate chip Tuesday and Alfredo sauce Wednesday, now it's not a treat. It's how you eat, and that's going to keep you from making progress. So people will underestimate how many extra calories they're eating, and they underestimate usually the beneficial things. They underestimate how much protein they're getting in a day. They underestimate how much water they're getting. They underestimate the healthy things, and they overestimate So we usually talk about what works for you and how we're going to move forward in a plan.
Okay. Tell me a bit about water. You mentioned it. How much should I be having?
Yeah. So I love this. This question is awesome. And I love talking to health professionals about this, because a lot of times in the health profession, they always learn about the extremes. Oh, don't do that, it's going to cause this, or don't do that, it's going to cause that. But if you look at the data surrounding water intake, there's a general consensus. And the consensus is most people need a gallon of water a day. Water is used in every metabolic process in your body. So if you want your metabolism to work better, you got to drink water. If you want fat metabolism to happen more efficiently, you got to drink water. If you want protein synthesis and recovery to happen, you got to drink water. Now, if you are in a high-risk group, and we're talking a lot about high-risk group these days, but there you go. Nice job. Way to go. Good points. You got points on that one. So if you're talking about the high-risk group, usually it's three groups. Infants, which have a hard time regulating their temperature and their water. Elderly people who have immune issues, who may have some problems with hyponatremia and a decrease in their mineral count and their electrolytes and their sodium, or ultra marathoners who are really sweating out a lot of sodium and they drink a whole bunch of water, they can have some problems with their muscles locking up. So if you are an infant, an ultra marathoner in the process of being in an ultra marathon, or an elderly person who has immunosuppressed issues, you may want to talk to your physician about how much water you should drink. Everybody else can get along very well with a gallon of water a day. And I just say, get a gallon. Like, what does a gallon look like to you? Most people don't even know how many ounces is in a gallon. Do you?
128.
Nice job. That is correct. 128. Most people think 64, which is close by about half. So my suggestion is, and I see this every year in the beginning of the year around New Year's, people actually get a gallon jug
I love it.
and they write on it at the top quarter, they say 10 a.m. Halfway through it says 12, 3/4 down it says 3, and at the bottom it says done. So if that
Perfect.
works for you, that works for you. But work it in, and work it in ways that make sense. If you drink coffee, it counts as your coffee.
Done by 3 p.m.?
I suggest done by 6 or
Okay.
7, because
So I'm
that
not
way,
peeing all night.
yeah, you're exactly, because that's what I have people say, well, I get up and pee all night. Well, then maybe you push it back to 5 and have the majority of your water done by then.
The other thing is that if you don't drink any water now,
Yeah,
going to a gallon tomorrow is
it's
probably,
not.
yes, you're going to be uncomfortable.
It's not realistic, and it's not real. If they feel very full when they do that, they try to get it all in. It's not the flipping of a switch. It's more like the baby steps that we talked about. So if you drink 16 ounces, try to drink an additional 16 ounces.
It's perfect.
Right. If you drink 32 ounces, try to drink an additional 32 and give yourself a couple days. Like I usually say, it takes people almost 7 to 10 days to actually get to a point where now they get it.
At each level of, so if I currently drink this 32 ounces in a day, I'm going to maybe do double that for a week.
Yep.
And then the next week, double that.
With it. Yep.
Or add another, go to 3. And then by the end, I have all 4. So.
Yeah. And I tell people, they think it's just the drinking of it, but you can use your water to make yourself your own coffee. You can use your water to make yourself your own tea. You can use your water to make oatmeal. Don't use your water to make the whole pot of coffee at your house, because you're not going to drink all that. So as long as you are drinking your water, put some lemon in it, put some cucumbers, put whatever you like in it, not sugar, but even seltzer water, even non-sugar seltzer water counts. So it's the liquid that you're taking in that's not sugar.
Yeah. All right. So everybody join the Gallon Club. Work your way up to it. Let us know when you join the Gallon Club. When you get to a gallon for 2 days in a row, let us know. We want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, or take pictures. Take pictures of how you look every 7 days as you're upping your water. Or write down and journal how you feel, how your skin looks. It's amazing.
Perfect. I love it. So people see a difference, huh? Skin,
oh my goodness.
The way they look?
Yep. Skin, their joints, fewer headaches. They sleep better. They are losing fat faster. The midsection, it flushes intracellular fluid, which
Wait a second. But water is like almost free.
I know. It's amazing. And you're at home all day, so there's no reason why you can't drink your water.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. All right. So we talked a little bit about the black and white, mental, emotional. Do you have any other tips or tricks to how we think about food, how we think about setting these things up and putting ourselves in a good state?
Sure. So I usually have people, and this really works well when you have kids, because you can get them involved as well, is make a list of the foods that you like that are healthy. What are the proteins that you like, meat and non-meat? What are the vegetables that you like? What are the fruits that you like? What are the carbohydrates that you like, the starchy carbs? What are the fats that you like? Nuts, avocados, egg yolks, almond butter, peanut butter.
Fats are okay?
Fats are awesome. They are
good.
They are, your body needs them for hormonal regulation and hormone creation. So it's just figuring out what you like and making sure, this is the preparation side of things, that you have those at the house and it's something everybody's going to eat. And then the next step is, we'll make the plan. Well, in a day, what do you eat? I eat breakfast, I eat a snack, I eat lunch, I eat a snack, and I eat dinner. And then maybe I have a snack before I go to bed. That's 6 times a day. Okay. If you're eating 6 times a day, then break it down. You have your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner. And they should all have a protein source or a combination of proteins if you're not eating meat. And then you have smaller intake of something for mid-morning snack and mid-afternoon snack. I love a fruit and a fat, or a vegetable and a fat or protein. So for instance, a lot of people find it very easy to start implementing healthier snacks. Do you? Yes, I love apples. Great. You have an apple and some almond butter, or an apple and some peanut butter. Do you like bell peppers? Yes, I love red bell peppers. Great. Your mid-afternoon snack is bell peppers and hummus. So once they start eating optimal foods and they have that down pat, we start to talk about serving sizes, because a serving size actually is a thing. It's not going to Cheesecake Factory and it's the plate of food that you're served. That's not a serving size. That's probably 4 times the amount of food that you need. People have a tendency to be able to eat better foods before they concentrate on the number around that food. Does that make sense?
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. So Steve, eat egg whites and a piece of sourdough and some stewed tomatoes for your breakfast. Okay. Well, how much? No, just eat it. And then after you get that down pat, then we'll talk about your serving sizes. Now, this is a funny point. There are some people who do not eat healthy foods at all. It's just McDonald's for breakfast, Chipotle for lunch, and pizza for dinner. No judgment. No judgment. So for those people, I usually say, well, don't stop eating what you're eating. Just eat the correct serving size. What does that mean? Well, there's a correct serving size for what you eat at McDonald's. There's a correct serving size. So I've had people do that and lose weight over the couple weeks that they actually eat the right serving size. It's still crappy food, and they don't feel as great as their counterparts who are eating healthier. But a lot of it comes down to the double whammy. It's the food that you're eating and the amount that you're eating.
Yeah. And I think I should mention also from my side of things, you're working with people who are wanting to lose weight and wanting to look different and wanting to feel a little bit different.
Sure.
From our side of things in the clinic here, we see an enormous correlation between food that we eat and inflammatory levels, food that we eat and how we feel. So I can speak to that personally. When I am not eating as well, so I work with my hands a lot. I do a lot of manual therapy, hands-on work, and I also rock climb, right? So I am all day long using my hands working on patients, and then in the evening, if I'm lucky to have the time, I'll go to the rock climbing gym, and you know, it's all like gripping and using my hands.
Yeah.
And if I'm eating poorly, if I'm eating pro-inflammatory foods, my hands swell up and they feel terrible. And I wake up and I honestly, I try to close them and it aches so much. And I can only imagine what's happening to the rest of my body at that time. Like I just feel it in my small joints that I'm using all the time, but this is happening, you know, low-grade inflammation throughout my entire body.
Yeah.
So,
could you imagine? Now that's only once in a while for you. Can you imagine your patients who eat like that every single day in every meal? No wonder they don't feel good. And it's hard for you, I would assume, to do what you need to do, but then send them on their way and they undo or they don't propagate the good that you did with following it up with the food as medicine aspect. So I want to address questions about this all the time. What are inflammatory foods? And there's a list. You can find it online. But in general, sugar and alcohol are very, very inflammatory. They make your joints swell. They inflame things, and it doesn't make your body work optimally. Trans fats, artificial fats, a lot of vegetable oils are refined carbohydrates. So cakes, cookies, pretzels, things that you don't find out in nature that have to be processed and processed and processed to be created. And processed meats like sausages, and I know this is blasphemous when we're in Wisconsin, but hot dogs and bacon and sausage and things like that. I'm not talking about never having those. That's the whole, you want to be a normal person, you can work these things in. Like I love good Newski's bacon, and I'll eat it usually once a week, and either on a really tasty, healthy BLT that we make here at the house or for breakfast on Sundays. But if it's something you're eating every day, it's causing inflammation and it's not optimal. So the other side of it is, well, what are some foods that help fight inflammation. Yeah, there's a list of them. You can find them. They include tomatoes, super good for fighting inflammation, olive oil, leafy green vegetables like spinach and kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, things like that, fattier fish, so salmon, tuna, things like that. And then all of the very high phytonutrient fruits and vegetables, strawberries, blueberries, red bell peppers, cherries, things like that. All of those things, if you're making that switch, if you had someone who ate very high inflammatory foods, cut those out or cut them back significantly, and then had them add in all these anti-inflammatory foods, they would feel like you gave them a pill. Like literally it would feel like you gave them a pill, and overnight or within a day or two, they would already start feeling better because food is medicine.
Yeah, it's so impressive. A lot of times when I make these minor recommendations in the office, try to cut back on this, add a little bit of the anti-inflammatory foods, and people and drink a little bit of water, right? Like as you mentioned earlier, gosh, people come back and they say like, I can't believe how good I feel. And I'm like, I hardly did anything in the office, right? All you did was go move a little bit more at home, did a few of our exercises, and you started watching what you're eating. Amazing changes in pain levels, right? Like we're not talking about like, I changed the way that I looked, or I changed the way, like they just say my back doesn't hurt or my neck doesn't hurt, big changes.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think it's funny because I have asked people before, listen, we've been talking about this for a long time. Why didn't you make these changes 3 years ago when we started talking about this? Well, it seemed too easy. It seemed like it was too easy for that to actually be the solution. Well, sometimes it is that easy, but we are in a society that we are, taught that, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So people don't believe it. But when it comes to food, it actually is true.
Right. Oh, I love it. Okay. What else did we miss? What else do you want to make sure that people know about?
I think I want to just chat a little bit about the being at home situation. I had a couple people already text me who are at home, clients of mine, wanting to know, how they get in a healthy eating plan. And I said, well, before, these are the same people that used their job as the reason why they couldn't eat healthy because they didn't have time to prepare. So now it's not their job.
Oh, shoot, I don't have an excuse.
That's right. So a lot of it has to do with mindset. If your mindset is, I'm going to start cleaning things up and eating healthier, therefore I will do X, Y, Z, versus a mindset that is like, oh, I'm at home, I'm bored, I'm just going to eat. So you have to decide, are you hungry? And if you're hungry, here are your choices because you have all this healthy food at home, because you've changed your preparation, you've planned in advance. Or are you not hungry? Are you eating out of emotion? Are you stressed out? Are you tired? Are you bored? You can never placate emotions with food, ever. The reason why people get a craving for a comfort food like ice cream or something like that is because of the sugar content. Sugar makes the serotonin in your brain, which is the feel-good hormone, go up very quickly. It's why people don't crave broccoli when they're stressed out, because it doesn't have serotonin rising effects. Here's the problem. If you're trying to lose fat and you're stressed out or you're bored and you eat crap, you feel worse. So then you get mad at yourself and you go eat something crappy because you're mad at yourself. Like it is literally a self-perpetuating downward cycle. So my suggestion is have a plan. Are you hungry? What's on your food list? Are you not hungry? And is it something else? Are you bored? Well, food isn't going to change it. So fill in that gap with something that makes you not bored. Are you stressed out? Well, food's not going to fill in that gap. So figure out how you get unstressed. And are you tired? Well, food's not going to help that. Maybe go take a nap. I know it sounds simple, but in people's minds, until they hear it like that and have a plan in place, it all goes to food.
Yeah. I know. I'm in the same situation. At night, I get home, I get stressed. And I spend, my wife literally has to grab me and pull me out of the kitchen. She's like, we're done here. We need to leave.
Yeah, exactly. I have a client who is at home right now, and I check in with her every day. We're doing a little bit of video coaching because she has a gym at her home. Great. And I ask her every day, how's it going? She's like, well, it was good until chocolate chips came out yesterday. And then we all made chocolate chip cookies. And I said, well, that's fine. You can eat chocolate chip cookies. The serving size is there. Well, I probably ate more than the serving size. And then it was popcorn. Well, it was good until they made popcorn last night. And then they brought out the M&Ms. Well, if you have popcorn, you got to have M&Ms. So this is the struggle.
I didn't know those went hand in hand.
It's not abnormal, but the abnormality comes in now that you're at home all the time. In my mind, I have the idea that, well, now you have complete control over your food, complete control. So it should be easier for everybody. But the thing is, it's not. Now they feel overwhelmed with, well, how do I make healthy food? Or how do I make variety? Or how do I, so it's these different questions that didn't pop up before. Before it was, I don't have time, I don't have time. Now it's, well, now I have time. Now I don't know how to make healthy, or I don't know how to make chicken on Sunday and then have it 4 or 5 different ways throughout the week. I don't want to have chicken, broccoli, and brown rice every day for lunch. So
I want to be a bodybuilder, I guess.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So now it's more about, well, how do I cook variety wise? So I had a conversation the other day with my client. We made a bunch of baked chicken breasts on Sunday. And she had a little low-fat marinara. She put that with a little Parmesan cheese, and they made zoodles, which is zucchini noodles.
Yeah,
and that was
cool.
kind of like her spaghetti.
Sure.
Then the next day, they made a bunch of grilled chicken salads. So they took that same chicken they made on Sunday, and they used it for their protein on their salad. And then the next day, I suggested she shreds up some of that chicken that she made and put some low-sodium taco seasoning. And then they had healthy chicken tacos for Tuesday. So you're taking that same chicken and eating it 3 or 4 different ways.
Yeah, not getting bored.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, I think that's one of the tricky things is just, like you said, making a plan, having these options available, which I know that you gave me a lot of great links and options. So I'll link an article with this video. I will link an article on our webpage below. I think I had named it's cruxchiro.com/articles/achieve personal fitness, which we haven't even mentioned. That's the name of your company.
Yeah.
Achieve Personal Fitness. So
yeah.
We'll link these options for you as well. I think that having the healthy foods at home, for me, it's also, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but having the not so healthy options at home makes it really, really easy. I know that I can get the not so healthy options when I need them. But having them as like the first thing I see when I open up the pantry is trouble for me. Like from a strength standpoint, that's where I go right away. So I find that I just have to keep them out of the house, right? Which is tough for me.
Yeah, Stephen, that works for a lot of my clients. I ask them point blank, what are your problem foods? And if they can name them right off the bat, I say, you may want to get them out of your house, because it's easier to stay on track or on plan when you don't have those tempting foods at your house where you actually have to go out of your way to get them.
Right in front of you.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I had a client who was making cookies a lot. It must have been over the holidays. And I said, so-and-so, you're an adult. You can have whatever you want, whenever you want. She's like, I know, but I'll eat them every day. I said, well, is that on your plan? She said, no. And she goes, but they're right there. And I said, well, make them not right there. Maybe you take your cookies and put them in a paper bag so you can't see them every single day. They're not in your face laughing at you, telling you to come eat them right there. So I find this problem with a lot of people right now that are at home with their kids, and they buy different fun foods for their kids,
for them,
the food that they wouldn't normally eat themselves. So Doritos, Cheetos, granola bars, which really aren't that healthy to begin with, and things like that aren't healthy choices. And then they get stressed out because they've been sitting all day typing. They forgot to eat. They are dehydrated because they didn't drink their water. And then they're getting stressed out because their kids are getting loud. So it's the perfect storm. And I usually get people telling me, what are your problem times a day? Well, my problem times a day are 3, 4, 5, and 6 p.m. It's not a surprise because there are similar things happening at that time. So I always say, well, what's your plan? What's your plan? If you have a fun food prepared as a snack at 3 p.m., like mine is, I just went to plant-based protein. And by the way, I do meatless Monday, and that's huge for me.
love it.
we just went to, we do a fasting on Sunday, a liquid fast.
Oh, cool.
And then we do meatless Monday. It's, for me, as an older individual, it's about the relaxing of my digestive system and letting it take a break for 2 days in a row.
Sure.
But for my clients, I tell them, I say, well, what's your plan? For me, it's a really tasty plant-based protein shake and 2 rice cakes with almond butter. I like it. It is satisfying and it's a little crunchy, which makes it feel more satisfying. And it meets all my criteria for that time of day. For them, it may be sweet. Well, substitute a candy bar with a half of an apple and almond butter. And some of my clients will actually put some little chocolate morsels, a few chocolate morsels on that. That is a treat to them.
A treat.
So it's the everyday, how do you work around or work with your nuances and your problem times a day that are going to lead more toward your success.
Yeah, understand yourself a little bit better.
Yep.
And just plan for that then.
Yep,
so.
You got it.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Awesome. Okay, so how can people get a hold of you if they want more info?
Yep, so they can go to my website. It's achievepersonalfitness.com, or they can email me directly at info@achievepersonalfitness.com. And I am open all the time. I've actually put my phone number out there. If people want to text me, 414-416-587 I think people are more comfortable that way. They can Instagram me. I'm at FitCoachC on Instagram. They can start following me. I have a lot of good information there. So it's a lot of different avenues, whatever people are most comfortable with.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, really, really appreciate it. I think this is going to be a great resource for our patients. And I appreciate you meeting.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
All right. Take care.